Look at that.
There it is.
We are here. I cannot seem to get the camera to brighten me up any. Like, see that? See how it goes? This is my
I'm done
technically.
talking to you about this.
Well, the sun has just started shining through the windows behind me, so maybe
You
it's
need
like,
what you need is artificial sun in front of you if you wanted to brighten up.
oh, okay, all
I've
right.
offered to go get. You can go get a little light, something if it.
So just for the record, like I'm not pretty enough to brighten this face up on the screen. So, like being half in the dark is probably good for everyone. So
Oh,
that's
stop
all.
it!
That's all.
Stop it!
Hey, so welcome to what are we on? Was this episode 56?
6.
Episode 56, the Creative Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. So,
Hey,
Mr.
real
Coffman,
quick, real quick before we get started here, technical issue. Can you click on your little microphone, the little down arrow on the microphone, and make sure the correct one is selected? Because you're still. I turned my volume up, and you're still really faint. So I don't know.
yeah, it's the. Let me see. Is that any better?
I don't know. We'll find out. We'll get through it no matter what. I just thought I'd bring that up before we really get started here. But maybe just stay close enough where you can see up your nostrils.
Okay. I'll put it. Oh, see, look, it brightened me too. I put it closer.
I'm messing with it.
It's all good. How are you doing this Friday fun day, Mr. Kaufman?
I am fantastic, albeit a little in my ongoing saga. I'm a little beat up this morning. I've been trying to condition myself for. In fact, we might as well let these folks know now. For the next couple of weeks, we will be out of pocket, both of us. I'm leaving next week, and Ken's the following week. So, no podcast for the next 2 weeks. But yeah, I've been trying to condition myself for this quote vacation that we're gonna go. I've mentioned this in the past one, but back in July when we went to Tennessee, we're going to do a bunch of hiking, but I was injured and I wasn't able to get that done. So we decided that we're going to come back when the fall colors are at their peak and get our hiking in. I can't wait. I'm super stoked. I'm super.
Yeah, it ought to be nice.
Yeah.
Think the weather. Did you see what the weather for? Are we going to be 60s every day for the hiking next week, pretty much?
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah. I can't wait. This is my favorite time of year anyway. It's just awesome. So, what about you? How you been?
It's all right. We're going to lay my wife's father to rest on Tuesday of next week, and so that will be an event with the family. So we'll get that knocked off, and then I'm going to take my dear wife on a trip out of the country, which we've actually had planned for at least 18 months, a year and a half or so. We're members of a vacation club, and we get steep discounts on some stuff, so we're doing that. It's actually our annual group trip that we're going on. So hopefully we'll get her. She needs a break.
I'll bet for sure.
So looking forward to that here in a week. So I won't be able to hear how your adventure went though, because I'll be out of town, but we'll catch back up when.
Yeah, I kind of, I say this every time we go. Like I'm really gonna document it this time because we're gonna be, I don't know, that when you're there, when you're in that stuff, it's almost like you're in it's almost like a dream because everything's so bright. And, the colors are just incredible out there. By the way, this is a senior thing. Like if you guys aren't old enough to appreciate that, you're not as old as I am. I love that stuff, man. I love being in that stuff. But
Yeah.
No, and then on top of it, I guess we're finally, we've talked about in weeks past about how we kind of taken on a little bit more than normal, and
Yep.
we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel here. I think we've got
Yep.
one of those condos sold, closes Monday. We've got the property out in another seller finance deal we're doing here locally. Uh,
Yep.
that one is under contract to be sold, and then we're actually refinancing the other one. So definitely the light at the end of the tunnel. It feels a little bit better. It's not so overwhelming.
We're getting there too. We just now are. We just need to get some more accredited investors in our fund so we can start lending money to the borrowers,
Yep.
which I guess is a perfect segue for our topic today, Mr. Kaufman, which is what?
Okay. I was, you always present me. You do this all the like you said, what are we talking about today? And
Set you
I
up.
don't have anything really to say, so I just kind of make it up as I go. So I'll just start this one off by saying that most investors think that they can't get started in this because they don't either have the cash to do it or the credit. Now, when I got started, I had the credit. I didn't have the cash, so it was a really really limiting belief. So it's just not true. It's just not true that you need a bunch of cash to get into this. You need some cash.
Yeah.
You need some money. You need some available cash. Um,
Can't
so
be dead broke. Not dead broke. Yeah.
right, you can't be dead broke. It's going to be very very difficult.
Yeah.
Um, so today we're going to break down exactly how to fund uh, your real estate deals without using your own cash, whether that be from private lenders, seller finance strategies, strategic partnerships, whatever. We're going to try and give you a little bit of a blueprint for how to get into this business.
Yeah. Can I just add on a little bit too? Says
Yep,
don't be dead broke. And it's not necessary, which we're going to talk about today too. But it is helpful if you do have money in the bank that you can use for your real estate. Right? So
for
like
sure.
it has a lot more available options for it to you, but it's not a requirement. So don't let it like you said though. I think it's the mindset. Okay, I have to have 50K in the bank or whatever the number is to get into real estate investing. Like that's that's not accurate. So
Did I ever tell you how I actually funded my first couple of deals?
you're very well. You did them sub two, right? So
Well, I did. I did. So it was a. I don't know. I'm not sure if this is a good idea to to advise people on this because you can definitely mess this up. But my very first deal, I got it under contract subject to, and then I thought, well, there were arrears on that particular deal, and I was like, well, how am I going to pay? I think at the time it was like $8,000 in arrears, 8 or 9,000. I didn't even have that. I didn't even have that in the bank. I mean, it was pretty rough time. And so what I did was remember I said I had excellent credit. I had like an 830 credit score. It was nuts. Um, so what I did was when they send you those checks, those balance transfer checks in the mail,
yeah,
um, I actually this wasn't a balance transfer check. It was an actual check that you could write that immediately charged your credit card.
yep, yep,
And so what I did was I wrote myself a check off of this credit card. I was able to get cash off of this credit card by writing myself a check, putting it in the bank. They funded it, and that is how, with literally none of my own cash at all that I didn't have, by the way. Um, that's how I funded my first deal. And in fact, I don't remember if it was the second deal I did the same thing with. I can't quite remember, but that it's pretty dangerous strategy if you're not diligent about making sure those things get paid off, which I did. Um, but that's how I funded my very first deal. I thought it was, I think it's just one of those things that maybe people don't really consider, when they're going in to buy real estate is charging it, putting it on a credit card, because that's literally what I did. So anyway, we can move on. I just thought I'd tell you that quick
No,
little
no, no,
story.
no. Can I just say something about that? That is actually not a bad way. Now, if you're not very good with finances and managing things and the credit cards, like, we wouldn't suggest this. But if you are very good at that, that is a great way to do that. And you can actually just make a charge to the title. Like, you can actually send funds to the title company off of your credit card if you know how to do that through a third party vendor. And this is going to be shameless plug number one today. But remember, we are partners with Fund and Grow. Fund and Grow can secure business lines of credit for you, credit cards specifically, at 0%. What better way to get into real estate than at 0%, right? Like, at 0%. And I am going to just shamelessly put that in. If I can figure this out, I'm going to put it in the chat, the link, our Fund and Grow link. There it is. In here too, if anybody's interested in learning more about that.
I was not paying 0%, by the way.
Yes, no, and
Paying
then that's cash
90.
advance that you did on there too.
Yeah,
Now, back in the day, cash advances were still, they didn't have separate rates, but now your cash advance rate is way higher than your regular credit card interest rate. So you want to be able to manipulate that. Uh,
definitely.
and you can definitely do that. There are definitely ways to do that, and we have.
Yeah.
Like, we have. That's a trick. A trick. Pro tip, not trick. Pro tip that we do. We've done that many times over the last few years. So
Yeah, and I would stay away from the cash advances if you can, just because. I mean, on like talking about a true cash advance, just
yeah, no
because
cash.
that interest, if you're doing it on a regular credit card and not through a 0% line of credit, um, that cash advance, the accumulation of interest starts day one. The day that they fund you, that interest starts right then and there. Where the 0% cards are great because it's usually 12 to 18 months at 0%. So yeah, fantastic way to fund your deals.
We probably don't do. You know, we're terrible. I'll say we're terrible at, like, getting that information out there. Like, we have a great source that can help you with a particular, it's a niche thing. That's a niche thing, but it is a great, from what we're talking about today, it is a great way that you could break into the real estate game there and use someone else's money, namely the credit
Absolutely.
card.
And by the way, now you're going to personally guarantee that, but it does not show up on your personal credit. That
Yep.
could be a good or a bad thing.
Yep.
Trying to build credit, it's definitely a bad thing. But
If you have to get the right business cards, though.
yeah,
Capital One business cards are on your personal credit, so
correct.
you got to get the correct ones. So that's what Fund and Grow can help you do. Well, I'm glad
Yeah,
you mentioned that, because I probably would have gone through the whole episode without even thinking about that dawning
yeah,
on me in there too. But so we talked about that. That's actually a fourth. That's like a bonus way. So let's talk about the three other ways that we centered the episode around. So private lenders, which you and I are, right? We are private lenders. So one of the things to do is to find private lenders. How do you find private? I guess that's the $1 million question if you're just starting out, right? So, Mr. Kaufman, how do you find private lenders? Where are they?
man. Um, well, I have to go back to stories because I remember when I set out on this mission. I was buying creative deals, so I didn't really have a huge need for private lenders. I had a couple of people that I could talk to about it, but I was terrified. I was honestly terrified. I've never asked anyone for money in my life, and I thought it. I guess I kind of took it, um, or I thought that the people that could potentially lend to me, I thought they would take it personally, like as if you're asking me for money type of thing. Um, Little did I realize and recognize, you know, a year or two after I got started, there are people that love doing this. This is what I mean, they don't want to be out swinging hammers. They want to put their money to work. And, you know, so I guess my suggestion then is don't judge a book. Don't force your beliefs on someone else. Someone else may have a totally different take on it. Um, and eventually, I got over that, and I just started talking to people. So to kind of answer the question, um, it's really a relationship type of thing where even though like when you we started out when I met you, we weren't really friends. We didn't hadn't really talked. You were strictly business, and it can work that way as well. But to find private lenders, everyone's going to say RIAs, which RIAs are a great way to find private lenders. Although I will tell you, uh, most RIAs are filled with inexperienced people. That's why they're there. And so it doesn't mean that the opportunity doesn't exist to pick up some private capital at a RIA. But most of your private capital is going to be found through just networking. And the deeper you get into this business, um, the more people you're going to know, and the more people, especially if you're doing good business. If you are kind of an upstanding individual, and people recognize that, um, reputation is everything in this business. So, um, so number one is networking. Start talking to friends, family. Um, Personally, I don't like to deal with family. Um, I don't like to mix family and business. So I never did go out and talk to my family members about borrowing money from them for real estate deals. Um, there's also the issue of credibility, and everybody has it because if you get into this business, you think you're going to make $1 million. Well, somebody asks you, how are you going to make $1 million? And you're just going to stand there like, what do you say? Well, how do you answer that question? And so there's a credibility is definitely an issue when it comes to raising capital. Um, I can tell you this: anyone that I ever have raised capital from never asked me for my credit report ever. It was all based upon just being an upfront, having integrity, following through with everything I was going to do, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but I think
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So we have and originally I was one of your private lender contacts.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you start meeting the private lenders though too? I mean, did you originally start running into them at the RIAs? Was it just you're doing deals and you're just meeting people, or this person connected you with that person? You mentioned your network. That's really a lot of times how this happens, right?
Yeah.
Like this person knows that person that puts you in touch, this private lender or whatever the case may be. But how did you run into, like, I was on one of your lists or whatever the case may be too. But
Right.
how did you get, were you able to build a list of private lenders, or how did that happen for you?
So the way that I did it was, yes, I built a list of private lenders, but it was an indirect list. I was actually building a buyer's list. I built a massive buyer. I amassed about 8,000 email addresses. I was just on a mission to find, because I jumped into wholesaling, and whenever I do something, I usually go pretty big. And so I just amassed, and this is local. These were local buyers. This wasn't outside of the market. I amassed a list of about 8,000 people. That's a lot of networking. So what I did to find those lenders, I just thought to myself, like, where am I going to, I started to run into this issue where I needed capital. And let me tell you, talking to lenders, by the way, when you need it, you will find a way. You will find a way to ask for that capital. That's what I discovered. It was like, I was forced into, like when I approached you about that deal early on, I needed that capital. I needed it, and so I found a way to kind of muster up the nerves, I guess, to to talk to you about that. So anyway, what I ultimately ended up doing, I had this massive buyers list. Well, if these folks on this list are if they are going out and buying properties, perhaps those folks might have some available capital. And so what I did was I just turned my buyers list. I started sending out instead of sending out deals as a wholesaler when I was wholesaling, I was sending out emails with my pitch for private capital, and it wasn't asking for capital. It was asking for to sit down for a lunch, perhaps, or maybe going out for coffee. So I kind of turned my buyers list into my private lenders list, which I then was able to segment off, and now I have this a pretty good list of lenders, go to people. That's how I did it, and I think it's just I don't know, maybe a little bit of a testament to kind of out of the box type of thinking. Like I don't, I'm sure somebody else has come up with that, but at the time I was thinking, well, duh, like this just makes sense. Like these are people that are looking to buy real estate. Maybe they have some available cash that they'd be willing to lend.
Yeah, they have capital. Yeah,
yeah,
to deploy.
Yep.
That's good too. Another idea too is to I'm going to qualify this in a second, but to join Facebook group. There are a lot of private lender Facebook groups out there to do, and there's also a lot of bullshit scam artists. So you have to wade through. You have to wade through that. Hopefully, the group is monitored with the administration monitors the stuff, and some of the scam stuff is out of there. So you can get legitimate people that you can start networking with that way. Yours, like I would also suggest do it in your local area, right? Because when you have a deal in, we'll just throw out some of our zip codes, 63011, right? And you need to go to your private lender. Well, they already know that 63011 is an affluent zip code in the suburbs. So it's easier to do that, but it's not necessarily a requirement. Like we're dealing with, you mentioned I'll just call it burr. We're actually gonna burr out, right? We're gonna do the burr on one of the properties too. We're doing that's a national lender that we're going with that I've had heard really good things about, and was just like, yeah, let's try them. So just all kinds of different ways and options there. But can I just go back to one thing that you said?
Mm-hmm.
I know we said I've said this in episodes, and this is like my soapbox thing too. But don't blow smoke up people's asses. Don't do it. Mm-hmm. That goes back to the credibility piece that you said in there. Like you have to know what you're doing. You might not want to ask for money or ask for money. You might not want to seek money or whatever the things, but you need to demonstrate that you can use the money successfully and pay back the loan. As soon as you pay back that loan, right, things get easier the next time and the next time and the next time and the next time. So it's just a matter of making yourself, right, getting out of your own box, so to speak. Something we talked about in the last couple episodes.
Yeah. I want to just quickly. I'm going to state the obvious here, but maybe perhaps there are some people that haven't that don't know this. But you should never, ever, ever. No legitimate lender is going to ask you for money, ever.
Oh, yes.
So I just want to put that out there as a public service bulletin and public service announcement. Don't ever give money to a lender who requests it. Application fees and all this. That's just not. No, all of that stuff is. If there is an application fee, if maybe you're using a hard money lender or something like that, it's going to be taken care of at closing. Never give anyone cash.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. Yikes. So that's good. So private lenders. So the second one, which is one of the things that we preach all the time too, is seller financing, right? Absolutely. Obtain seller financing for your deals, right? One of our favorite seller financing methods is subject to. It's just a particular form of seller financing, right? So get seller financing. Now, in order to do that though, this goes to another talent that you have to cultivate, right? Is talking with sellers. right? The seller also has to trust you. And then, as you said, we were just talking about this on the coach call yesterday. I took your line. I stole your line. And you're saying subject to deals are created, right? They're created, not found. So you can create your seller financing deal, but you just have to go in there and see what the situation is and talk to the seller openly, honestly, and transparently, right? Again, don't be blowing smoke up people's asses.
Yeah, and I would take a step back from that and just say that if you every single seller that you talk to has the potential of financing your deal for you, whether you realize it or not. You're going to have folks that, I mean, I've done it many, many times where you have someone who is selling a property, and um, they have not a clue in their mind that they may be approached about possibly seller financing a deal. It's generally all cash. They just want all cash. Um, and so I guess my point is, first of all, you need to at least make an attempt to make your seller it needs to be an offer. It needs to be on the table on every deal. And the reason it needs to be on the table for every seller you talk to is because of the cost of the money. Uh, money lent is not free money in most cases, unless you have what we call a white whale, where you can get some 0% capital. But generally speaking, in seller finance scenarios, that money is usually almost always cheaper than you can get it from even a private lender. I mean, it's so. Point is, we always try to make our seller our financier at every appointment. It's just got to be something that is, you can casually bring it up, and if they have questions about it, it's something that, honestly, you need to be educated about it. You need to understand exactly what you're talking about and how the mechanics of that work, because there are several different types of seller financing. Subject to is a form of seller financing. So I'm not saying that you'd go out and you offer a subject to deal to everyone that has a mortgage, because quite honestly, seller financing is more than just subject to. You can have, just all kinds of different structures when it comes to seller financing. You can take a property on a wrap, a partial, or a seller carryback. All kinds of different ways you can get it done. So I just love seller financing. I've found it to be something that kind of comes a little easier, just because I've talked to so many people about it, so many sellers about it, and not all of them are on board with it, but a lot of them are. You would be so shocked to see how many people are willing to take payments over time. It's incredible.
Well, you just have to tell them the benefits, right? You just have to tell them the benefits of both sides. Like, for instance, we always recommend, like, you come in there and you make three different offers, or three different ways to purchase it. Maybe one's cash, one's subject to, one's seller or wrap, whatever it is. Like, you always make that. And some people may be shocked. Do you know how? Let me take a step back. Do you know how many people don't ever bother to read their actual loan documents or their amortization schedule when they buy their own property?
Yeah, it's incredible.
And they would be shocked to say, let's say it's a $250,000 house, and let's say that it's a 30-year mortgage. They might be shocked to know they're paying $600,000 of interest.
Yep.
Right, over the 30 years. Well, if you can enlighten the seller about, this is how much you could actually make, this is what I'm willing to do. If you can finance me, this is what that looks like for you over time. Would you be, would that be more interesting, or would you like that more? Because you can earn much more over this 10 years. Maybe it's a 10-year balloon, or they don't want to be in it for 30 years or whatever. you can make much more over this 10 years than you can like any other way. And they just don't know. I mean, honestly, they just don't know. You just have to show it to them.
Yeah, they don't. Well, cash is. Excuse me.
That's just king. Yeah.
Yeah, the cash thing though is what they generally don't understand. Of course, some people just have a need. A lot of people just have a need. They have an immediate need for all that cash. They've got a plan for it. But on the other hand, like you're saying, if you can show them what the potential that they could make over a period of time, not to mention the tax benefits of
Yep.
that of
Yep.
doing, um, you know, they just don't understand. They just don't. They've never thought of it in that way. So it's your job. It would be your job to enlighten them and help them to see that this monthly income that you get off of this deal is going to make you. It's what actually builds wealth, and it's what hedges against inflation in the future. And you're just it's just a. I mean, personally, that's how I sell. That's how we like to sell properties, and it's for that very reason. It is monthly income accrued over time can make you a fortune, can make you a lot of money.
Yep. And the third way, moving on to the third main way that we have to fund things with insurance, it's of course it's the equity partner, the deal partner, whatever you want to call it. And this is shameless plug number 2 that I'm going to pop up right there. Bam! You can partner with us. Like that's where, and of course we have our complimentary fund that we had mentioned at the beginning of the episode as well too. That we are not yet in a position to deploy to the end borrowers too, but we will get there. I know we will get there. And so then you can partner with us, and we will have that kind of turnkey environment that we've talked about so much in there too, where we'll fund the deal for you, as long as it meets the guidelines, right? Everybody has funding guidelines. As long as it meets the guidelines, we'll fund the deal for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be said about equity partners. I mean, I think it's just an overlooked. I don't know. It's pretty common to have an equity partner in a deal these days.
Yeah.
It can be complicated. I mean, you're essentially kind of. I don't know if I'm choosing my words correctly, but you're kind of married to that person and that deal at the time. When you're doing that deal. But equity partnerships can be great. One of the things we used to do quite a bit was we would be equity partners with our. Now this kind of goes into the seller financing thing, but we would be equity partners with our sellers. So essentially, what we would do is we would create an LLC. That LLC, its members would be whatever your monetary position was in percentage form. So if I was a 60% owner of that LLC, the other 40% went to my seller. Well, now when we sold that property, the title company is going to distribute those funds appropriately according to your operating agreement. But an equity partner can be anyone, and an equity partner doesn't necessarily mean that your partner is going to be out swinging hammers with you, or vice versa. Many equity partners are simply, they're really money partners, is what they are.
They're silent. They just fund the deal.
Yeah.
And it's not a true just sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
it's okay.
It's not necessarily a true lending arrangement.
Right.
Like a private entity, because the equity partner stays in the deal. Right. They put the money into the deal, and in exchange, they get whatever you mentioned, the percentage of the deal. It's 50-50, 60-40, whatever that is. So.
Right. Yeah. However much equity they own, that's kind of the downfall. That's the great thing about debt funding or debt partners is that they get a set return, where an equity partner actually shares in their portion of the entire deal, whether that be most of the time cash flow, and certainly any equity that might be built into the property. So that is kind of the downfall. You don't I guess the earnings in an equity partnership, although not all the time, are probably going to be a little bit less than if you had a straight debt partner or somebody financing it for you. That's not the case all the time. In fact, it's probably the a minimal amount that type of scenario exists. But um, yeah, it's a great way to get started for sure. I mean, it's an excellent way. I mean, imagine if you go out and you're looking for a private lender and you find this lender and you say, hey, how about this? How about I just make you an equity partner? I'll give you, if you come in at you lend the money to this deal, I'll give you 40% of the equity in this deal. And I mean, to me, that's a really excellent way to kind of sweeten the pot, for someone with some funds if you need funds in your deal.
The only downside too is if it's a a private lender that does a lot of lending or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want their money tied up
Yeah,
because they want to turn around and do, and lend it out to someone else and just have it.
sure,
But
sure. Yeah.
some people can certainly do that too. And just to clarify too, when we say in equity, a lot of times we have this mindset that, okay, well, when the property is sold X years later or refinanced out, that's when I get it. No, if it's a rental property or you're self financing it, you get the cash flow. You get 40% or 50% or whatever your agreement is of the monthly cash flow. Plus, you'll get 40 or 50% of whatever it is on the backside when you do the deal too. So just wanted to clarify
That's right.
that too.
Yeah.
It's a complete share in all of the income generated off that property.
Yeah. I'm going to give an example of a partnership. I mean, this is something that I still do to this day. Um, what we do on what we kind of this is actually where the whole seller finance model really kind of came from. What we do with equity partners is, say you're the lender. I say, Ken, hey, I need $40,000 to bring this loan current and make some repairs to this house. Um, I want to bring you in as an equity partner. I'll give you 30% of the deal. Um, and also, so you're going to own 30% of that property. But the money that you provided to me, I'm going to go out, I'm going to seller finance this property, and someone's going to give me a down payment. I'm going to take that money, I'm going to make you whole. I'm going to give you back your $40,000, and you're still going to own 30% of this property. And when it sells, by the way, you're going to get the cash flow off of it if it's a long-term deal, and you're going to get obviously your portion of the earnings on the equity that's in that deal. And I have never, ever, ever had any lender who brought capital into a deal like that. I have never had one of them turn me down for that deal.
Yeah.
Those are infinite returns.
Yeah, it's a win-win from their perspective because they're
Right.
going to get paid back, and then they're going to also benefit
Yeah,
forever more. Right.
absolutely. Yeah. And I challenge anyone out there, when you start talking to lenders, if you present what I just said to you, what I just explained, I challenge you to find someone that would be silly enough to turn that deal down.
Yeah.
Of course,
Especially,
it's got to be a good deal. You've got to, but yeah, it's a win-win in every direction there. It's such a great way to go.
yep. That's yes, that is win-win-win. And just keep in mind that's what you need to set up, right? Your deals need to be win-win-win for everybody, right? Including the seller you're purchasing the property from too, right? You always got to keep that in mind. We're here to solve problems and to help people, and that's how we do that, by win-win-win situations. So it's interesting. I'm gonna toss out this quote, right? Because I like it. It's in our notes, right? For those of you that know, we have notes for the episodes to keep us on track. You don't chase private money; you attract it by being the kind of investor people trust. Right? That's true if you're trying to get money from a private lender. That's also true if you're trying to get seller financing from the seller. Same thing.
Yeah.
right? You have to make sure that you are confident in your abilities, know what you're doing, open, honest, and transparent, and don't bullshit people.
Yeah.
That's simple,
It's
right?
so, I mean, it's so apparent. I guess your spidey sense is, or your gut, I should say, is almost always correct. And you can just see, when somebody is standing in front of you and, you're hearing this, whatever story it is they're telling you, you know what's going on. Like there's always this sense of, you're kind of testing the waters with these folks, and they can see that stuff too. People can, people are so adept at identifying bullshitters that, I mean, it's almost comical. It's almost comical. You can, I mean, I guess there's some kind of technical psychology behind it. Like, I don't know what that is. I'm not in that arena, but um, people will find you out. And just be straight, be a straight shooter, and just have integrity, live in integrity, man.
And can we define my simple operational definition of integrity? I,
Yeah,
I was I
I'd
was
love to hear it.
having this. I was just having this conversation with an electrician. You know what I'm talking about, brother.
Oh, yeah.
This has been the death of me. I just need you to do what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it.
Hmm.
That's what I need.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
all I need. Just do what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it.
yeah,
That's it.
yep,
Don't tell me if you're not going to do it. Don't say it to me. Don't do anything. That's my number one issue now. Like again, that's my don't blow smoke up my ass, right? If you
yeah.
tell me you're going to do it and you say you're going to be there Wednesday at 2 p.m. and I go over there Wednesday at 2 p.m. and you're not there, that's a real problem for me.
That really happened. Yeah.
It's a real problem for me, right?
Yeah,
And that son of a bitch did that to me not once, not twice, not three, like half a dozen times,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And this is a long story. This was a rock and a hard place inspection, electrical inspection bullshit with the. It's a long story, or else I would have kicked this guy to the curb. So you're probably thinking, well, why the hell are you dealing with this guy? Well, because I really had no choice. So that was the issue. But that's
yeah,
all I
but
need. Integrity. Do what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it. That's it.
yeah, yeah. And getting back to, you know chasing private money. Um, that's it. That's actually kind of how I felt when I first started on that venture of going out and finding money. I thought of myself as a, I don't know, like I have in the notes here. I thought of myself as a pest, or like people don't want to deal with me, like begging for money. That's what it felt like. It felt like that to me. And so, you know, eventually, like I said, that feeling turned into, well, there's a couple of different, you know, emotions, I guess, that go with it. But that feeling turned into, you know what, I'm never going to grow this business if I don't have access to capital. I'm never going to be able to accomplish this. And so, like I said, when it came time, and I had to have some working capital. I had to have some. Had to have, maybe, like for you, for instance, it was a second position that I took, or that you took, I guess. And but you find a way. And I think it's all about, maybe not credibility so much at that time, but it's just being an upstanding person and just saying what needs to be said, saying
Mm-hmm.
what has to be said.
Go.
And
Even if you don't want to say it. I mean,
right,
sometimes you just have to say it, even if you don't want to,
right,
right?
correct.
Because it's the truth, right? You just have to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and your work will show, your work will prove a lot. If you're out there hustling, and you're rehabbing houses. That's what I was doing at the time when I met you. Um, but yeah, your work will actually show it too. So it's pretty important. Um, in fact, not sure if I sent that to you or if I started doing this at some point after us doing that deal. But I had a portfolio of things that I had done, however big or small. Like I had those included in I documented everything, and I used to send out. So what I would do is I would create a document with all the relevant information about the deal that I had done and the capital that I would need, and then I would send that out to all of my different private lenders. And I mean, it works. I mean, I don't care. It doesn't have to be super pretty, but man, it's a great strategy. Once you have those folks interested in lending to you, documenting your projects, um, documenting your results, and even the lessons learned. The lessons learned is you're not every deal's not going to go perfectly. It's just not. It's 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 nature. It's just the way that it is. So even documenting that and letting those being open about that to the folks you're borrowing money from, it goes a long, long way. And that is integrity right there, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure. And it's yes. Remember, it's like when you get knocked down, it's how you stand back up that counts, right? It's just like when you have a challenge with the property, how do you overcome the challenge, and what did you do, and
Right.
was it was it still successful? It's interesting you mentioned that too, because I think you did send me some past projects or whatever. But if you remember it, I was like, well, I want to go see it. Like, I mean, you took me up
Yeah.
to the property because I wanted to see your work with my own eyeballs to work on it, right?
Mhm.
Just that, because as you say, your actions speak louder than words. And that was a
Yeah.
nice rehab project, by the way.
That was a
Like,
good. That was
I
a
remember,
nice
yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah, I remember it. I remember it like it was yesterday. So it was good stuff. Along those lines, though, I keep seeing, and so in our notes we have mistakes to avoid, but let's just say pro tips to do. How about that? So one thing
Okay.
that you mentioned there was document your successes, document things, especially if you're asking someone new for money, like a private lender new for monies, to be able to be able to have that and give it to them without asking. I think that was a thing you mentioned, like don't make them ask for it. I mean, that's okay, but be willing to just give it to them. Just say, hey, prior to our meeting, I just wanted to give this to you just so you had it in case you had other questions that might come up or whatever. This is some of my past projects, and here's the returns and blah 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 and all that on it. And that also goes with item number two very clearly is communicate, 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 and then communicate some more. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Don't go silent. Don't ghost people like the damn electrician. Don't ghost people. Right? Just you got to be upset, especially when you have that challenge that you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's a flip project, right? There's always going to be challenges in there too. So
Yeah.
you got to communicate and just be honest about things.
Yeah.
Right?
Most people are going to want to bury their head when something goes wrong. That is, most people are going to want to. And I'm probably I'm not. I don't mean to speak for most people. I'm just saying that most people tend to want to bury their heads in the sands when something goes wrong. Um, but I am telling you, this happened to me. I've had so many things go wrong. Hiding and backing away and not communicating with, particularly with the people you're borrowing money from, is instantly
That's
flag.
that that
And and it's the same true for me. Whenever I don't hear from someone, if I'm doing a deal with someone, when I don't hear from them, where does my mind go? My mind automatically goes to a really, really sinister, bad place. And so the only way, purely and simply, the only way to prevent that prevents that sort of those negative thoughts is through communication. That's it. And I've had to actually learn. I've had to learn to do that over the years. I'm kind of a they call us now an introverted extrovert. So, when something goes wrong, I sit here in my own bubble and in my own head. And I've just learned just through a lot of lessons, and my awesome wife, like that's why she's awesome, because she can literally take anything that I say. And in fact,
It
she
be
demands
right.
it. She demands it. So, but yeah, that's the same as true in any of these deals. Um, Communication, man, it's a major hurdle for those of you that don't have that skill. It's gonna
Yeah.
be it's gonna be huge.
And the other big pro tip, I think I'd say as it goes to there's the under promise, over deliver.
Yeah,
Under promise, over deliver.
for sure.
Right.
That's the best. It's one of the best strategies, anyway. I mean, it's something that's funny though, because that's something that eventually, maybe if you are attempting to do that, or that's kind of your, I don't know, if you're doing a deal, maybe that's kind of your, you know, it's what's playing through in your head is, man, I'm not going to tell them I'm going to do this, but I'm going to try and over deliver on this. It eventually, like anything else, it becomes sort of uh, a trained aspect. It becomes ingrained in your mind, and you don't even have to think about it. It just becomes a thing where you just, that's just how you operate. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I just want to. I think I just have this the thing that constantly plays in my head, and the thing that I love most about doing deals is I love when everybody, as they say, can eat. Everybody eats. Like nothing really fosters this type of environment that we're trying to convey, where you have where you're going out trying to find capital for your deals, but just structuring deals so that literally nobody loses, and that's an absolute must, and that um, it's part of the collaboration aspect of my core values that that I have in my core value statement. But yeah, it's a good way to um, it's a good way to make sure you're going to be in business for the long term. Let's put it that way.
Yep. And we're pretty much just to bring it back real quick and to summarize that. So our philosophy here at Sub Two Empire, right, is credit is in order to be credible, you have to have integrity. Just do what you say you're gonna do, and have success. In other words, I had this fix and flip project, and it was a success. Everyone, like you said, everyone made money. Everybody ate off the deal. Like document that and be able to price. Like that's your track record. Like establish a track record. Do it with integrity, right? And don't and over communicate when you have partners in there, whether it's a private lender, whether it's an equity partner, whether it's even the seller financing to you. Like, don't forget, you talk about a long-term relationship, right? That I mean that might be a 30-year relationship, or it's a sub two deal, right? It might be 25 years left on the mortgage. That could be a long-term relationship. Don't leave those people out, right? They're actually doing, especially the sub two people, they're actually doing you a favor because they're letting you use the loan obtained on their credit,
Yep.
right? So don't forget that, and don't leave them out there in the dark about over communicating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better, for sure. Couple final thoughts here before we jump off. Um, Number one, just to recap a little bit, it's a myth. You don't need a ton of money to do deals if you have the creativity to be able to structure deals in a way where everybody wins, you get to live in integrity, um, and it's just a myth. There's no. I did it, for crying out loud, and I know if I can do it, anybody can do it. Honestly, it's not. It does take a little bit of thought and education and wrapping your mind around some of these things, but anybody can do it. Um, any final thoughts for you, Ken?
no, and I'll just say that too. And I think that wrapping your mind around it is where we come in. Partner with us, like we'll help you do that. Not only will we help you wrap your mind around some of these other the creative possibilities that exist in all these deals too, but we will help you actually do the deal, close the deal, right, and do all of that. That's why we're here. That's our partner program. That's the last shameless plug for the day, right there. And then they won't hear any live shameless plugs from us for the next 2 weeks because remember we are on
Well,
vacation. We're taking a little
that's why
break.
they join, right? That's why they join. That's why they join us on these podcasts to hear the shameless plugs. That's right.
That's probably yeah, that's probably right. But it's all good.
So good.
We do know a little bit about this stuff. We've done a lot of deals, hundreds between us at this point over the years. So like there's lots of gurus out there. Well, there's lots of people that say they're gurus out there, but they're not actually doing deals. Like we're actually doing deals. We have a narrow focus on our students because the partner deal, it takes more time and energy from us, right, to do the partner stuff. And so we have a very narrow focus with our students when we do that. So if you're up for it, hit us up.
Absolutely. All right, guys. That's all I got.
That's it. Have a great next couple of weeks, and we'll catch you mid November, right
What
before
is
the
that date?
holidays.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, maybe we'll do some special promos or pricing, or maybe we'll do like a free course giveaway or something for somebody that's watching our podcast. You never know what might be up for the holidays.
right on. All right, guys. See you